In 2018, critics cited that American rom-com Crazy Rich Asians was making history with its bold move towards Asian representation on screen. With outstanding performances from some of the most notable all-Asian cast with an Asian American lead, it was the first film by a major Hollywood studio to feature a majority cast of Chinese descent in 25 years since Joy Luck Club for Asian Americans, particularly those who are 1.5 or second generation. This film strikes a chord because of its resonant display of what it feels like to be in a state of in-between. Being American means to be individualistic and to follow your passions. Being Asian means to be part of a collective and to think of others before you act on your own.
How are they different? They're Chinese, I'm Chinese.
Yeah, but you grew up here. 你看出来是华人，你讲的是中文，可是这里和这里 you're different.
This film puts into motion this question of whether or not these ideologies should overlap. Rachel Yu is a professor of economics at NYU. By American standards, she would make the perfect partner. She's driven, she's passionate about her craft, she has her own career, and she's outspoken. Yet, when she flies halfway around the globe to meet her boyfriend's family, her successes fall short. Achievements that were commendable in America were suddenly shameful. A game theory professor is suddenly made to be inferior. In this upside-down world, Rachel finds herself unable to navigate Eleanor's strict standards. Upon the two women's first encounter in the family kitchen, Rachel eagerly shares her career path with Eleanor. Meanwhile, Eleanor multitasks her conversation with Rachel while gliding to different areas to supervise the quality of the outgoing party food. Upon learning that Rachel's mother condoned this career pursuit in support of Rachel's passion, she responds with,
Pursuing one's passion. How American. Well, your mother is very open-minded. Not like here, where parents are obsessed with shaping the life of their children.
This conversation about pursuing individual passions would arise again later on in the film, when the young family is gathered around the table making dumplings together. Eleanor explains to Rachel that the institution of wrapping dumplings together isn't simply a common familial practice, but something that has been cultivated over generations.
It's nice you appreciate this house and us being here together wrapping dumplings. But all this doesn't just happen. It's because we know to put family first, instead of chasing one's passion.
Eleanor establishes herself as a representation of the domestic space, the epitome of the woman she explicates herself to be. And in this household, there simply is no room for selfish individual passions like those of Rachel's. This negotiation between ideologies takes place at the mahjong table, where Rachel invites Eleanor. Eleanor takes the east seat across from Rachel, who sits in the west seat, representing the respective roles of Eastern and Western ideologies. As Rachel explains, mahjong is a game of negotiation, strategy, and cooperation. While players need to pay attention to which tiles they need to acquire in order to win a winning hand, they also need to be vigilant of tiles that other players discard as a predictive measure of the opponent's winning hand. As the camera shows the 8 of bamboo tile in Rachel's fingers, she reveals to Eleanor that Nick had proposed to her against Eleanor's wishes, and in the same breath also discloses that she turned him down, explaining that marrying Nick under this circumstance is a lose-lose situation. Nick choosing Rachel would result in him losing his family, and choosing his family would lead to future resentment. Instead, Rachel chose for him by turning him down. With this explanation, Rachel discards the 8 of bamboo tile in her hand, which Eleanor picks up, adds to her hand, and declares victory. After reminding Eleanor that any wife that Nick ends up marrying in the future will be a result of Rachel's current sacrifice, Rachel reveals her own hand, a winning hand that she makes clear she discarded for Eleanor. Rachel had the tile that was required for both Eleanor and herself to win, but instead of taking the win, she gives it to Eleanor. Because she loves Nick and prioritizes his happiness, she's willing to sacrifice her own, dismantling Eleanor's assertion of American selfishness. All of Eleanor's accusations about her have been wrong. Rachel wasn't someone who selfishly pursued her own passions like Eleanor assumed, but is someone who is willing to put their loved ones ahead of them. The game of mahjong wasn't about winning Nick or Eleanor's approval. By discarding the winning tile and her own winning hand, Rachel demonstrates compassion, selflessness, strength, and a reconstitution of her own identity. Rachel's happy ending paves the way for Asian Americans to reconsider what it means to have the best of both worlds. Individualism doesn't always mean selfishness, and collectivism doesn't necessarily require you to give up your boundaries. The film highlights that existing in this liminal space requires constant negotiation and incorporating facets of both sides.